Hi, and welcome to Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorous Magazine, and this is Talkward, a fun little podcast where professionally funny people come to tell awkward and cringeworthy stories. Today, my guest is Jason Kanter. Jason is a stand-up comedian in New York and all over the world. I don't know if you're international.
Just country.
Just the country.
I do have a passport, so.
Hey, good for you.
If you're in Norway and you like this,
I'm
willing to travel.
Willing to travel.
Okay.
And Jason was most recently, I met him through him being a comic on the Guaranteed Delivery stand-up show, which is every month at 110 Wall Street. So thanks for coming on Talkward. Dr. Jason Kanter?
Dr. Jason Kanter, yeah, that's my Twitter handle.
Your Twitter handle is Dr. Jason Kanter, and I didn't know if that was at all for real.
I'm not a doctor, if that's what you're asking.
No, that is what I was asking.
No, it's an homage to my grandfather, who is deceased 20 years this year. But he, in the 60s and 70s, he used to tell people, it was a bigger deal back then to be a doctor. But he would tell people he was a doctor to get, preferred reservations at a restaurant. And my uncle...
That's crafty.
Yeah. My uncle was a kid, and... my uncle broke his arm, and my grandfather would go visit him at the hospital, and he would always park in the doctor parking up front, and then he would say, "Oh, I'm Dr. whatever, Dr. Markowitz." He would make up a Jewish name to be more believable. He was Jewish. Relax, people. He was Jewish, but he would always have, make up. His name is Stanley Moss, but he would always.
And it wasn't sounding. It didn't sound enough.
His name was not Jewy enough. But he also didn't want to give him his real name.
Yeah.
So he was parking there, and he would visit my uncle every day. And then towards the end of the thing, they were like, "We checked. There's no Dr. Markowitz working." And he goes, "Oh, I'm visiting from Philadelphia."
I'm a visiting doctor. Doctors Without Borders.
They apologized and
that's right.
let him keep going.
How dare you? How dare you question my credentials?
Questioning a doctor.
I have a mind to take out your tracheonominum in me. Is that something that they do with the pen?
Trachea, is that the thing where the smokers get when you?
Oh yeah, maybe it is.
It's a trachea.
But I thought when they do an emergency tracheometry.
Yeah.
Tracheometry. That sounds like a math thing, like trigonometry.
Definitely, yeah.
When they poke the hole in you and then they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing comedy in New York?
I moved to New York. Hold on, let me take a look at my watch. 6 days ago was the 12-year anniversary of October 5th, 2006. I moved here.
From where?
I moved from Columbus, Ohio. Was the last place I was at. I started in Columbus. I moved to Houston briefly. I was there for about a year. There were 4 comedy clubs, and that was great. I went there to. I was recommended by a comic, Greg Warren. I don't know if you know Greg. Very funny guy. He had started there, or maybe was there early on. But there were 4 clubs, and they were more into developing young comics. So there was like a ton of stage time to have.
Okay.
And they did this great open mic at the Houston Laugh Stop, which no longer exists. But I've had a lot of friends come.
I love the names of comedy clubs.
The Laugh Stop, yeah.
Just like it sounds like that you could just make up a ton and people would just accept it. Like being a doctor, you're just like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'll be at the Chuckle Hut in Des Moines.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Chuckle Hut.
Well, there's a brand new one that's just opening up. I think I'm going to be there in April in Worcester, Massachusetts. Worcester.
I know Worcester.
But it's called Woo Ha Ha.
Everything in Worcester is Woo. That's their name for stuff. Yeah. My friend Peterman is the GM of the Worcester Bravehearts baseball team, which is the minor league team in Worcester.
Are they getting booted then? Because the Pawtucket Red Sox.
This is a big thing happening in the world of Woo baseball.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing this. He's been running this team for 5 years now, and it's a Futures Collegiate League.
Okay.
So it's
like below A ball.
It's below A ball. It's like a whole different world, I think. And the Paw Sox are moving to Woo, and they're going to be the Woo Sox.
Yeah, and there's going to be a huge.
It's been a
stadium.
Big. Yeah, they're bringing a stadium in. It's a lot of controversy going on there in Worcester.
Yeah, I'm sure it's dragging your buddy's thing down. Peterman.
It's not helping it. It's not like it's the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they could support so many professional baseball teams.
Yeah, I saw Pearl Jam at their. I guess I don't know if it's a minor league hockey team or something they have there, and it felt like it was like a high school hockey arena. It was so small.
It's little, but the people are big, and I mean fat. I mean big hearts.
I think Doug Stanhope's from there.
Really?
I think so.
It's a nice town. I've only been there because I have friends there, but like you're like, I could see people staying here.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. I feel like any kind of like smaller, like Baltimore, you know, where they go through this up and down, where it used to be really industrial, and then it's like a barren wasteland, and then 20 more years, and now these people take these barren wasteland warehouses that no one seems to want anymore, and then they just like make them into cool like lofts.
Well, and I lived in Baltimore for 2 weeks as well.
Did you?
If you want to talk awkward stories, I moved there in 2005.
Okay.
This is a good awkward story. So, I moved there to bartend at a place, and then I was living in Fells Point.
Yeah.
The place had not opened yet. The bar, it was in like the Power District or whatever it's called.
Power Plant. Power Plant Live is like a development.
Exactly.
It actually used to be an old power plant.
Are you from there?
I'm from outside of Annapolis. I live Severna Park. It's in between Annapolis and Baltimore. So I actually grew up going to like O's games and going to Baltimore and not being able to go to different parts of Baltimore at all.
They have very aggressive homeless people there. Like the New York homeless people are very docile compared to the Baltimore. I was getting chased down the street and shit.
Yeah.
But have you been back? Have you seen the old that police precinct in Fells Point? It was for what? There was a TV cop show.
The Wire?
Homicide? No,
Homicide.
maybe
Life on the Street. Yeah.
And they used that as the face of the old. It was an old police police station. Mm-hmm. And have you seen it recently? The Under Armour guy bought it because he's like right across the river.
Yeah.
So he turned it into this unbelievable hotel. It's crazy how nice this thing is. And they like extended it into the water. It's got an infinity pool. The rooms are like $400 or $500 a night. You know,
that's a lot for Baltimore.
Yes, yeah,
that is way too much for Baltimore.
Yeah. They're attracting the New York and DC.
It's like so those rooms are not rented.
But
they're nice.
Those are corporate dollars.
Yeah. That's exciting. You lived in Baltimore, for 2 weeks.
So I was in there for 2 weeks. So I got a couple stories coming out of that. So basically, it was a bar that was opening. It was part of the McFadden's, which there's a McFadden's here. There's actually two. There's one at Citi Field. It was those people. Complete fucking assholes. I hope they're listening. They had sent people from. So my buddy came up from Charlotte. I was coming from Columbus, Ohio. I'd never met them. He had worked for the company previously, and so part of the thing was the bar was going to be opening, so they wanted us to go out every night and get drunk and, like talk to people about the bar. Like, we got this new thing in Power Plant Live. It's going to be great. Just kind of like build buzz for the thing.
Yeah.
And drink and have a good time. But we were spending our own cash, but basically getting like blackout drunk every night. Like I got blackout drunk every single night for 2 weeks. The last morning that I woke up, we'll skip ahead, but I woke up I slept in a closet. The last morning, just woke up in the closet, and I was like, if this keeps going, I'm going to have to. I got to go to rehab.
Yeah,
like, this is crazy. Like I can't. This is not a way to live. So luckily, I got a phone call minutes later that I was fired before the bar even opened. So I got a couple things coming out of this. So there were 2 guys came from Colorado, or maybe it was 3. 3 guys from Colorado, me. Yeah, 3 guys from Colorado, me from Columbus, buddy from Charlotte. And so we were looking at places. They were pretty, to us coming from those cities, it seemed obnoxiously expensive. But we got we had like a month-to-month lease until we started making money and figured out, what we could afford and shit like that. So we had, we found a place in Fells Point that was really like badass, but it was a 2-bed, but it was 2 bedrooms and it had an attic and a basement. So I made up the rule. I was like, all right, here's, we were trying to decide how do you cut it up and stuff. I was like, everyone sleeps in the basement until someone gets laid, okay? So the first person, then you take a girl or guy, whatever you want, however desperate you are to have a room in this place. None of them were homosexual, so it would be desperation at that point. And then you earned the room, then you got that room, and then even so, if a month goes by and no one else has gotten laid, then everyone's still sleeping in the basement.
And so the room is only for company.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. If you earned the room, if you got ass.
Right, but
then it became your room.
So
everyone else either stayed
so it's
in
like
the basement
hitting.
or the attic.
It's like a video game where you're reaching different levels.
Yeah,
so the room is
I
not
guess.
only for getting ass, but once you get the ass, then
the
you get the
yours,
room
then
by yourself if you want.
So yeah,
just in there to cuddle and read.
If you want to bring a 500-pounder home just to earn the room,
okay.
then that's your choice. And with the way people were drinking, that was a distinct possibility.
Is that what happened?
No, we didn't get that far.
Oh.
Because I only made it 2 weeks. It was, I think, week 3 or week 4 was when this was going to happen. So the place that we were staying in a corporate apartment. Corporate, used very loosely in the bar world. So me and my friend Seth were staying in this corporate apartment, and we were just sleeping on couches and like a fold-out couch and a couch in the living room.
And you guys were the staff at the bar. You can be the bartenders.
Yes, yeah, bartenders.
Okay.
So, but then there was this corporate trainer that came from. Maybe it was here. I don't know. Where.
So is this like
from.
a chain bar?
It's the McFadden's people.
Oh, this is the McFadden's people.
I think it's New York. Yeah, New York Bar Group or something like that. At BMG.
Okay.
I think it was BMG. But they sent this one guy. He's a corporate trainer. He was going to train all the servers, bartenders, busboys, all that shit. And but he brought his girlfriend down, and she had previously worked for the bars, so she was going to be, I don't know, assist or whatever. Mm-hmm. But basically, what happened was every night we'd come home, and then you'd come out of your blackout with him just fucking the shit out of her in their room, and she would scream just loud, and it was just this obnoxious, bed hitting the wall, her yelling. And then, every single night we just like, oh God, what the fuck? This is this is terrible.
Yeah.
And so the last night we were there, and I was just like, so this is going on, and we're sitting outside, and then I went over and I knocked on the door, and I go, hey, since we got to listen to this, we're just going to watch too. So I got some popcorn fired up. We'll be in like 5 minutes. Just complete joke. And then, it's, silent, and then, she's upset. So then he comes out. He's like, that's disrespectful. He's like, you can't stay here tonight. So that's why I had to leave.
Okay.
I woke up in that closet of the 3 guys had a small apartment. They had no extra space. I just slept in, a nice carpeted closet in a new place. Woke up and got the phone call that I was fired. So it was packed up my car and went back to Columbus, Ohio.
There you go. That was a quick stint in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Be more. Bang more. Someone's getting banged more in Baltimore. Not you.
No, never did.
Not at all. Well, that's interesting.
Bethesda, Maryland, one time.
Bethesda. How did that expansion bar turn out? Did they ever open?
They opened and they closed soon after.
Yeah.
And my friend ended up leaving as well. I don't know if the Colorado's guys stayed or not, but my friend went back to Charlotte after 2. He's like, this sucks. Like,
and how old were you then? So is this like
29?
Okay, this wasn't that. You're not that old of a man now.
Yeah,
late 20s,
41.
Okay,
yeah, late 20s.
Are you still doing any bartending?
I do. I don't. I'm not on a schedule.
Yeah,
but I do.
You have the skill.
I pick up some shifts
if you need.
Yeah, if
you can flex that bartending.
If anyone
muscle.
listening needs a badass fast bartender.
Yeah. What's your best drink?
Lately, at home I make like old fashions with whatever rye whiskey, and I use I brought some 100% maple syrup, Vermont maple syrup back, and instead of using sugar or or a simple syrup, I'll use that Vermont maple syrup. And
do you do the fancy thing with the orange peel or the lemon peel? Where you
Sometimes.
do the thing and then you squeeze the skin and it.
I don't know, maybe a little flame.
Yeah,
rarely if I'm making them for myself, no, but if I have company, sure.
If you make it for yourself, you're just like drinking out of a bottle with a straw.
I'm a straw advocate.
It's good. Hey, it's good to be an advocate for the straws.
Yeah.
Well, not now. Not in the oceans.
I know. We got. I was in Chicago a few weeks ago, and we got reprimanded. We were at a place, and the waitress came over, and there was no interaction. Normally, like if you're talking to a bartender and you want to get into a tiff, that's one thing. You can have a back and forth if you're sitting there. But she's like, "Are you guys ready?" That was like the opening conversation. It was like, we're actually having the same thing: 2 Diet Cokes, 2 waters, 2 pepperoni pizzas." And then I was like, "Oh, can we get some straws?" And she's like, "How many do you need?" And we're looking down at the 4 glasses of beverages on our thing. And I was like, 4? And she's like, "Oh, poor baby turtles." As she sets them down, and it was just, and my buddy was sick, so he's like, he couldn't hear it because he was furious afterwards.
Yeah.
He's a bartender, and he was just like, to edit. I don't need the waitress that we have no interaction with editorializing on the thing. Like, if you're upset about it, go tell your boss to order paper straws. Don't put it on me that I don't want to drink out of your dirty ass glasses that were poorly washed.
Yeah, there's a lot of, that's a good point. You make a good point there, doctor.
Yeah, being a person that worked in bars for
how dirty these glasses are. I don't want to put my mouth on that.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to figure something out, whether it's paper straws or something. Like the reason why think about why are we using the straw? It's not because we want to kill wildlife. It's because your cups are really dirty, and
Exactly.
we don't trust how clean you are.
Well, even for comedy, it's easier to pick it up and get a quick sip rather than you're trying to balance and pour.
I spill all over my shirt.
Yeah,
routinely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do not take like a pint of beer if I can avoid taking a pint of beer on stage versus a bottle of beer. A bottle of beer is much easier to drink. Too.
I try to remember to do that when I set up the show downstairs for the guaranteed delivery. I always try to have a little table on the stage.
That's great. Yeah, set down a timer.
One
recorder,
time,
set list,
I forgot to put the little table on the stage, and every single comic went on stage and then had to go and they had to put their cup on the floor, had to bend down, had to bend back up, and then start. And I was like, crap.
I dragged
the smallest thing about, like the smallest detail. Put a little table on the stage.
Yeah.
Changes the entire show.
A bar stool is perfect.
Bar stool's perfect. Anything. You need something.
I dragged a bar stool on stage at a little coffee house show I was doing last night.
You need it.
Yeah.
It's like support.
Yeah.
How often do you go up? You're like an everyday kind of a stand-up comic. I feel like I see you on a show because I follow if you're in kind of the comedy industry and you follow a lot of these shows on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. There's always shows going on.
Yeah.
And if your friends are tagged in a show, it pops up and you see it.
Yeah.
So you're on stuff all the time.
Yeah, I try to be. I definitely take days off.
Yeah,
and but there's
to write. You got to actually
and just personal. You don't want to chase this all the time, or if you're not working on something, it gets it can get tedious. But especially now it's a crowded field. There's so many people. Millennials. People are just I think post 9/11, people are like trying to enjoy their lives more, it seems like, and a lot of them are like, I'm going to be a comedian in New York City and walk dogs and shit. So when I came here 12 years ago, I remember discussing with comics like, well, how many people would call themselves comedians in New York City? And we're I think that the number we used to throw out was like maybe 1,000 people. Maybe a couple hundred are getting paid, and then there's maybe another 800 that are doing whatever open mics and shit like that. I can't even imagine if the number could be 5,000. Like there's constantly people that I meet like, oh, you've been living here for 10 years and I've never heard your name or seen you on a show or anything. And they it's not that they're
they're bad.
Yeah,
that's what I've noticed too. Like because I speak to a lot of comics doing this and putting on a show and just and I'll mention people because I'll know them and I'll drop a name and then they're like, oh, I don't know that person, and I'll be like. Surprised, like how could you avoid this person? Like I feel like I see them all the time, and I feel like I see like someone like you all the time. I'm like, how have you guys not run into each other?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's such a network where everyone seems to know everybody else. Also, like 3 people deep, they all know each other, independent of me.
Yeah, there's like circles of comedians that run together, and you get
cliques.
Kind of clicky.
Is it clicky?
High school or comedy was always like high school.
Yeah. Which,
do you know Tom Ryan? Speaking of comics, Tom's a great guy. Funny, he's been here for a few years. But I met him. I met him out on the road years ago. But we were talking about he was in comedy. Well, I don't know. He might be a 25, 30 year guy at this point. And we were talking about. Like comedy pre-social media and stuff, and I said I don't like it. Like I'd rather go back to how it was before because like comedy's already this high school, and everyone knows each other and everyone knows each other's business and all this shit. But now with social media, we've invited everyone else on the planet into our high school, and now for good or bad, Aziz has a bad date. And then people are like, it's everyone's job to comment on it. And
right.
It's these, it's a lot of...
Or if Michael Che doesn't like someone's comedy, everybody knows that he doesn't.
Knows about it.
Everyone knows about him.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah. So, I liked our high school before there was, before it was worldwide stage.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you have to be on everything. So it's like maybe it's not enough anymore just to go on stage and tell somebody jokes. You have to constantly be tweeting funny things or Instagramming funny things or whatever. Like I see Mark Norman's like constantly on Twitter.
Norman uses Twitter well, and he kind of works out new material on it, and he gets like a good feedback, which I don't like. He's more of a one-liner guy, so I think that he can get more of a gauge. I have like typically longer things or stories, so I'd rather. I don't know. I don't find it very. I don't know. I'm not into. I like Instagram the best because it can be like you couldn't do what you could do on Instagram on a stage without without having a fucking easal and props and stuff. So
you can be visual. It's good to be visual.
Yeah,
more
it's a different muscle.
Yeah, I've noticed with Norman's tweets. I'll go to like it, and then it would have been deleted because he's rewritten it so it's a little bit more refined. Like he'll do a joke, and then he'll be like, no, and then he'll redo the joke.
Yeah,
and then he'll redo the joke, and then that one will be like the one he'll probably keep. Like he gets to test the material out, see how people react, and then he's like, okay, maybe that's the joke I can do on stage.
Yeah,
but I think I saw a joke, and I liked it better before he changed it. Maybe it was more or less. Maybe I think it was less offensive. Maybe people took offense to it. I thought it was funnier though.
Yeah,
I mean that's something you have to think about so much more now. Like it's not just to be funny. You have to be so many things to have a successful joke. It's like you're walking a tightrope.
Yeah,
all the time.
Certainly are. Yeah, yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot of that. And then like there's things like like even if I'm doing a Brooklyn show, like I'm like they're not going to like this. Like they don't want to talk about I don't know, race or something like that. Like just because now there's so many
especially like Park Slope. Like if you're doing, if you're doing like a Union Hall type basement show, I feel like not the race stuff. The race doesn't do as well because it's not a multicultural room at all.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of like uncomfortable because they're like, I don't think I can laugh at this.
Well, yeah, like
we're way too
Williamsburg is the same. And then that's I do the show Freehold. It's like a monthly show out there, and. I snapped on one time because it wasn't even. It was I'm pretty liberal, so it's a pro black joke. But they're hearing these words, these trigger words, and they're shutting down.
They're like, I can't encourage this behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And then I snapped on. I'm like, well, that's funny that a group of people that you live in the houses where black people used to live. You live in high rises where houses were torn down. You sensitive motherfuckers. Like I don't.
Pushed everybody out that would have made this a multicultural show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
you never know. You're up at PS 108.
109.
109. I'm sorry. I was close.
You fucked it up.
I did. So you're at PS 109.
Who does your research?
Me. It's always like half right.
Diane doesn't do it.
Diane doesn't do it. So you have a beautiful building that you get to also do beautiful comedy shows in.
Yes. Yeah. The next one is the 11th, 11/11, November 11th.
That's soon.
Yeah, it's I have not. I was working on the ticket link for Eventbrite yesterday. I've not published it yet.
I love that Eventbrite.
Yeah, it's pretty easy
useful.
to use. Yeah. I don't. Have you used any of the other ones like brown paper tickets or any of the? Yeah,
I like Eventbrite.
I was gonna switch because they changed up their format because you used to have like multi-tiered, like you could have different ticket levels, like you could have like early birds and
you can't have that anymore.
You can, but you got to pay like an extra. It's like a buck or I think it's maybe $2 a head and a percentage. Like they really restructured it, so it's like you have to upgrade to a different package. So now I was looking at one, but Eventbrite is easy, and they got all my info to
they have
deposit
everything. Yeah, I'm locked in. I can't do anything. It's all
and
synced.
I have a mailing list with them that has 200 people on it or whatever. Or, a few hundred people in New York, which is
Do you get a lot of? I mean, is your show monthly?
No, it's just kind of sporadic. The last one we did was July, I think. Yeah, I think it was July.
And you get big people to come to your shows.
Yeah, I mean
who do you produce the show with? You have other producers with you.
Yeah, usually Joe List is one of the producers, and then Ari Shafir is a sometimes producer. He's not going to be on this next one because he's got a show at I think it's Union Hall that night. One of the big Brooklyn. What's the Union Hall? And there's another one that's a big Bell House.
Bell House.
I think it's one of those. I think it's Bell House actually that he's got one on. But yeah,
because it's the New York Comedy Festival.
Yes, yeah. That is the last day of the New York Comedy Festival. So we are working to try to get on that list.
Oh, yeah? Going to be an official show?
Yeah, it was last year.
How does that happen? I see people who I know that have just like monthly shows, and they're the shows are fine, and
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, I'm part of the New York Comedy Festival. It's like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, it's
who am I supposed to call?
There's like I know.
Did someone call you?
Caroline's is through a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I didn't get the call. Maybe next year.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't. Last year we did it. We were on the New York Comedy Festival, but that was like because Ari was involved. Ari contacted them, or they contacted Ari. I don't know which way it went, but I think Ari pitched it to them. But it was like last year we had Mark Normand, we had Robert Kelly, we had Ronnie Chang from The Daily Show, me, Joe List, Ari, and I think there was another one, but I'm drawing a blank right now. But yeah, real fun show. We sold out. I think we sold 130 seats for that one. So there's that building that I live in. There's kind of a similar thing to the WeWork spaces where there's like the glass, the gallery area. That's the room that holds the most people. That one holds like I don't know what the fire number is, like 150 or something like that. Okay. And then there's a basement. They call it the theater. It's got low ceilings. That one seats 115. And then those were both booked up for this year's the Comedy Festival block. So we have the small space. It's most often it's like a dance studio. Mm-hmm. It's got high ceilings and it's got all surrounded in glass mirrors. Like
it's a dance studio for people to take like samba lessons?
Yeah, all kinds of there's all different kinds of dance that goes on down there because it's a really good space. But there's like ballet and shit like that.
But it's not people that live in the building.
Sometimes, but
okay.
But yeah, they have outside people come in and they do like auditions for Shakespearean plays. But then
this building sounds amazing.
It's great. It's my golden handcuffs to New York City. Like I'm stuck in there.
You can never leave.
No, but yeah, especially with being able to put on these shows because like the building has a beer and wine license, so we can legally sell beer and wine at these shows, and
that's incredible.
So this last one is 75 seater, the small one, and then you don't like mirrors in comedy are the worst thing because people just look at themselves. They don't look they do not look at the stage at all. So this thing has like these big heavy curtains that pull over, and there will be a proper stage in this one because it's got high ceilings. Whereas the other one, the stage was too low. Like people, if you were 6'2", you'd have your head cranked against the ceiling in this other space. Well, this one will have a proper stage, and it's good because we have a very tall show. We have Carmen Lynch, Carmen. We've got Gary Gulman's on the show.
Oh, that's great.
Me and Joe and Paul Odo, a guy who I originally met when I moved to Texas in 2002. He's going to be on the show, and then we're working on a couple of special guests that might go unnamed.
Drop-ins.
We'll see. Yeah,
drop-ins.
Because that was like the myth of the show happened in August of last year. We had so the show was originally me, Joe, and Ari, and then we had Big J. Okerson booked, and we had Greg Fitzsimmons booked. He was here working on Crashing, Pete Holmes' show, and then our two we were trying to get, but we weren't 100% they'd show. Were Dave Attell ended up coming, and Louis C.K.
Really?
came. Yeah. This is August. This is before he got in trouble. He got in trouble in November. So this was August, and we had it was a 100-seater fire number at the time. We sold out. 75 people showed up, so there were 25 no-shows, 25% no-shows that paid for their tickets and missed just the crazy greatest show. It was trending on Reddit. People were like, "What's the best stand-up show you've been to?" And people were like, "This is the show." And it was the first time Louis had been on stage since he hosted SNL in April. He'd never been on stage until August. He just took the time off and was working on his movie and things like that.
Yeah.
So everyone did 15 minutes, and people were. Yeah, it was great.
That sounds amazing. It's like an amazing stand-up night.
It was great. It ended up in Page 6 in the New York Post and stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've actually, two of the shows we've done were in the Post because Michelle Wolf came and did our show in April. And the correspondence dinner was, I think, June.
Yeah.
And she worked out, she just, had a notepad, and she was just, like, working out the jokes that she ended up doing and stuff. So people got to be a test audience for that. So that was also in Page 6. So
do people, how close up to the show do you announce the show? Like, do people wait and then hear, oh, he's going to do, because it's not on a regular schedule, so they have to kind of wait to see when you're going to do another show.
Yeah, I guess we just, I try to get the ticket link up about a month in advance, which today we're a month out, and, I blast it out to the people that have previously bought tickets.
Yeah.
Usually before, tweeting it out, I give them an opportunity, if they want to come back, give them, since they're loyal, give them first crack at it, and then after that, we start tweeting it out and, try to, you tag Gallman and Carmen and hope people retweet it. And I mean, Ari is the best with the ticket sales because he's got 180,000 Twitter followers and he follows 0 people. And the first one, the Louis one, it was a completely secret lineup. It was just the 3 of us were the only named comics. Actually, yeah. I don't think we even announced Burr or not Burr, Big J or Fitzsimmons. And Ari tweeted it out, and 60 tickets were sold, and then the other 40 trickled in. And
so, was your show kind of the last show for Louis in his regular life?
I don't know that he went to the cellar after that. It might have been. I would imagine that sometime between August and November he'd went to the cellar, but I don't know of any time, just because it wasn't.
Did anybody record your show?
No.
It's a cool space. I saw photos.
Money.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great. Yeah, it's got the pillars, and it's a crazy looking building. It's one of them. It's one of the buildings that I think was saved. With the destruction of Penn Station, they started making places historically registered.
Right.
Because it was a schoolhouse from 1898 until 1995. It went under, and then they bricked it up, and it was just inoperational. For 20 years till 2015, and then they sold it to Art Space, which is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit that there's a lot of schoolhouses. There's one in New Orleans they're rehabbing. There's like a courthouse in, I think, Detroit or Cincinnati. But they have a number of properties around the country, and they're a nonprofit, and they take these old beautiful buildings and they turn them into apartments, and they're like live workspaces for artists. Yeah, you have to be involved in the arts, and
so that's how you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to apply in as an artist?
I did, yeah. There were.
Did you have to perform, like audition?
They wanted me to. There were 89 apartments, and they had 53,000 people in New York City applied to get in there. And I drew a good number. I think I had 1,600, something like that. I had a low number. But then but people just randomly, like now that. Because there's a lot of New York things that you can, you apply to for affordable housing and
there's like a lottery for a lot of this stuff.
Exactly.
In every single gigantic, new, beautiful high-rise in Brooklyn, this many apartments have to be set aside to be like lottery.
Exactly.
For a specific income type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they figured out, and I didn't even realize this till I watched, was it the New York City documentary or what's her name? Jacobs. She was a housing advocate in the early 1900s, mid-1900s. But Jane Jacobs, saw a documentary about her because they figured out that when you have like projects, like they're not building projects anymore because they figured out when you put all low income people together, it fosters crime and all these things that people don't see a way out.
Yeah.
When people are clustered together, and when they built all these things, like in Astoria, they try to push people away, and now the city wishes they could, like the developers wish they could have that back because now it's waterfront property in Spanish Harlem, it's waterfront property in Astoria, and at the time when those were built, they just pushed people away from the center, and it caused a ton of problems, and they figured out that that's not the way to do things, so now they mix in mix in everybody. It's it's like, I guess it's similar to like a school busing program where the more people you're around can influence you, and
it's much better. It's much more even, and then and you get more of a diversity. But the building, does it look like a schoolhouse?
It looks like
do the apartments look like classrooms?
It looks like a European schoolhouse from the outside. It's like an unbelievable building.
Yeah.
Are
they really huge rooms?
They have high ceilings. They got like 15-foot high ceilings, something like that. Like they're very high ceilings. They got tall windows.
They have that old clock with the metal grate over it.
Not anymore. They took that out.
Did you have that? I had that.
Oh yeah. That's in elementary school. Well, they rehabbed. My mom lives in Newark, Ohio now, and they rehabbed a thing, and it's called Old School, and they rehabbed that one. But like we went and like just took a tour of it. and they left the lockers up, so every apartment comes with 10 lockers, so you can have storage, in the halls, and they painted them different colors. And,
that's neat.
But yeah, it was really cool that they left some of that stuff. But ours, like, there's when you walk in, there's some pictures, like some old, early 1900s photos of the classrooms, and you can see how it would be a classroom.
Yeah.
But again, like it looks like a European class. It doesn't look like anything that that I went to. And
it'd be funny if there was like a trophy case.
Yeah, there should be for awards that people win for dance and comedy and all this.
Or Dr. Jason Kanter was really good at putting out his recycling correctly.
That is a problem. People cannot get the fucking recycling right.
No, they can't.
And then we'll get building emails, and it's just stupid things like.
Do you know your neighbors? Is it the kind of building where everyone's like on like a listserv?
Yeah, we got a Google group, and I know out of the whatever 89 plus, there's families and things.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's maybe a couple hundred people that live there. I know a dozen or maybe 24 by name. And
do they all come to the shows?
Sometimes, like, usually, but I mean, fortunately for us, that we've had some sellouts. So, like, because I feel guilty, like, charging my neighbors, because I'm pretty much the only one in the building that does paid shows. Like almost everyone else has like my art exhibit's opening, and they get people, and and then they'll cater it. They'll have like snacks and hors d'oeuvres and free wine,
free everything.
And I do mine, and it's like tickets are $20 and beers are $4 and wines are $5. So like then there's some people that will come, and I'll if there's empty seats, I'll comp them. I charge them $5 one time, because like when you do. With comedy, sometimes when you don't charge, there's not a value to it. So then you get like a shittier attitude.
It's
Whereas
true.
people pay $5 and then they're really committed to being there versus like,
if
free, this better be good.
If they buy a ticket, they're gonna. I mean, if they don't show up, they just wasted $5.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like that my shows are free, and I've definitely seen how charging something for it definitely values it, and that person will then remember to go. Mm-hmm. You're not losing anything by skipping it.
And even when we first did we did like a dry run show where we charged $5. We were just trying to figure out how Eventbrite worked, how who would come, how much stuff to buy, how much beer and wine to buy. But then it was like tickets are $5, but it comes with a free drink, so you kind of it washes that out.
Yeah.
But people again committed, and then when you get. Like, we average about, I would say, 25. Like, I made a graph and shit, and my
living in a schoolhouse is really rubbing off on you.
my rudimentary Excel experience, I've just kept this graph. But, we get about 20-25% no-shows. But, what's nice with Eventbrite is you have their money. People buy a ticket.
And you have their emails forever.
And, yeah, exactly. But we do get some, you get a couple unsubscribes, which, I don't know.
Hurts me every time.
It's a funny, you get an email 3 times a year, and it's like, hey, I'm letting you know first in case you want to come to a great show that you loved previously.
No.
Yeah.
I do not want to know. Ever again.
Yeah.
Sir. Which is funny because the amount of junk mail I get, and I don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I get so many emails. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It washes over me. So I never unsubscribe to anything. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm the other side of that coin is just me who have, I have 300,000 unread emays, but they're all junk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just given up.
Yeah, I get things get buried.
There's no point.
Yeah, I haven't organized my inbox where things stand out. Like I got to like go through and delete.
I am not that organized.
I probably have 400 unread emails from my dad because he sends me so many news stories and things like that.
From Flipboard. My dad is, I think, the only person that uses Flipboard is my dad.
Does he not have an Apple phone? Does he have
He has
Android?
an Apple phone.
Yeah,
but he uses his Flipboard app on the iPad, and then he'll send me links.
Yeah.
And I think he's the only one on Flipboard.
Yeah.
He's the only guy keeping Flipboard in business.
I'll get him on my dad's mailing list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they can send it to each other.
So I was going through the Dr. Jason Kanter website, and you have a lot of TV
Comedian
credits.
Jason.
I'm sorry.
Comedian Jason.
Comedianjason.com? Comedianjason.com.
Yeah.
So if you want to follow Jason Kanter, comedianjason.com, you have all your shows up there, and then you have a lot of stuff because you've been on all these TV shows. So you're a stand-up comic, and then you also do some acting.
I just do. Yeah, I'm doing background work right now, so it's just like
you were in
work,
like Law and Order type stuff.
Yeah, I was a cameraman.
HBO
on Law
type
Order.
stuff.
I was on Crashing. I was an audience member for Crashing.
Couldn't you play a comedian on Crashing?
I would love to play a comedian on Crashing.
Because you played that pretty well.
Yeah, thank you. No, I mean, the sad thing, or the weird, or shitty, or great thing, depending on how you look at it, if we're for work purposes, is so in the last year, I've been a white supremacist of some variation of a white supremacist on 5 shows the last year, because like they look at a bald guy. I mean, that's it's
a white bald guy.
White bald guy.
Yeah.
They like. Everything in Hollywood, or whatever the hell you want to call new media. That's what the new media contracts, Netflix and Amazon and things like that.
Yeah,
it's all stereotype driven. It's all Central Casting is literally the name of the place, one of the places that I get work through.
Yeah,
and they I'm in the database where last week I got a text, and I know they just type in bald white because I got a text and it says
they're not typing in funny and charming.
Not for this one. I need to get better representation.
You need to get some better keywords.
Yeah, I get Jason Chad from Central Casting asks, "Are you available to work on whatever day? Work on the television show. I don't know if I'm probably not allowed to say it. Without time restrictions, Thursday. Role skinhead in all caps."
All caps.
Must be bald for a role. Please reply yes or no. And I just typed yes, and it says, Jason, your answer has been received. You're not booked until you receive your details. And then 5 minutes later, I get my details, and I was a white supremacist on this. It's it's like a cop drama show.
Yeah.
But the only thing I did was I just went in for, and this is the second time that I've gone in for just they do mug shots. So yeah, you just you look kind of angry. I think I went with like a mouth open. I thought about it.
So you're just a guy in a mugshot.
So
you're not even there. It's just a photo of you in the
5
show.
pictures. So it'll be one of those things where cops are discussing the case, and then you look behind, and then there's
angry Dr. Jason Kanter is in the background.
Yeah, there's like red string attaching pictures, and it's like
you're on like a murder board.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I did that a couple times, and then I was
typecasting goes so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one that got cut out of a show that's coming out on Netflix, but I was Aryan Prisoner was my title.
Oh, man.
And we actually went to a jail in Staten Island, and we put on, they gave us like the orange jumpsuits and shit, and then and then there were like black gang members, Aryan prisoners, and there were biker gang members. So there were the 3 groups of us, but they overhired. They had too many people, and the scene was too chaotic. So I got completely cut out. But I did have I had a massive. I think I didn't post it. I guess I'll post it once the show airs. But I had a swastika tattoo on the back of my neck, like a big ass, like the wings, the big Nazi wings, and the swastika. Which I was, I wished.
So you had to go into like a makeup trailer for that. They're like, let's apply all this terribly offensive ink to you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, great.
Yeah,
this is gonna come off, right? Oh yeah.
Well, on one of them,
7 days.
On one of them, they had so they were putting swastikas, and then they had 8-8, which do you know what 8-8 is? The tattoo?
I don't.
It's 8. 8 is H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, so HH is. It's 8-8 is HH, which is Heil Hitler.
Oh,
but I didn't know that, and a lot of people didn't know it, and the girl doing the makeup didn't know it either, because afterwards they were like, all right, everyone's wrapped, everyone could take off, unless you have a Nazi thing, we gotta take off swastikas. So they were like, everyone, and people are just getting their coats and walking out the door, and then the woman leaves, and then she just comes busting through the door. She's like, wait, if you have an 8-8 tattoo, do not leave. You cannot leave, because that's something someone will get on the fucking J train and get stabbed in the neck because someone else will recognize it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yikes!
I'm learning from these shows.
It's great, very educational.
But that's the joke I say on stage. I'm always like, well, I think Donald Trump's a piece of shit, but he's been really good for my own personal economy.
Yeah,
because of all these white supremacists.
There's a lot more white
supremacists. People are writing them into shows.
Yeah.
And,
I did not. I don't think there was nearly that many white supremacist storylines on like a Law and Order or any of those type police dramas.
Yeah,
5 years ago, 8 years ago, it was very out of vogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
it was not in fashion at all.
It's like the what's the Coen Brothers movie, Burn After Reading? You seen that?
Yeah,
Brad Pitt. And,
yeah.
But that one where like it's the guy that won the Oscar. Not for that movie, but he's the CIA director. He's like, the Russians, just like that. It was so funny, like that time period. Like we're not the Russians. We're not dealing with the Russians anymore. And now they're back too. Like it all comes back. A crazy time we're living in.
It is. It's weird. So for stand-up stuff, do you have like what's your current? What are you writing right now? Like, and what's your process for writing the stand-up comedy stuff? And do you have stuff that you constantly is like your go-to jokes, and then you have the new jokes you're kind of trying to work in to your go-to jokes?
Yeah.
Like when you build up.
Yeah,
a set?
Yeah. I have like I have an index card that I'll sit down before a show and I'll write out a set list so I can visualize it, and then you kind of chunk material. If there's things about drinking will be chunked and and then and that'll lead into something else, and then sometimes you move those chunks around because if you have to go from drinking to family things, it's different than drinking to gay material. So you'll find new pathways and maybe new jokes, like going from one chunk into another, switching things around like that. But and then so there's stuff I know that works, that you try to ideally you try to open with something that something works. If you don't have if you have something in the moment, then that's good. But before you get into you don't want to start with a new joke that you've written down and that you're going to test out,
because then you lose them immediately.
Yeah, you can lose them immediately, or you won't get a true read on the joke because if you start off with something that always works and it doesn't work, it's like, oh, the audience isn't like I'm not going to take their opinion on this new piece seriously, because it's like having a new joke is kind of like a baby, you're releasing into the world. And, sometimes it's too sensitive, and you don't want to put that out there.
What are you working on now? Do you have anything you're working on?
I was doing stuff. Last night at that coffee shop. I did a joke. Well, I did a joke that I was texting with my cousin when I was in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, and my cousin I was asking if he's coming out to the show. He always comes. And he's like, but now he's a kid. And
they ruin everything.
Well, we can't get a babysitter, so I don't know if I'm going to come out. And so I just, I'm texting with him, and I texted him like, I don't know if I should send this. And then, and that's the way I told him on stage first time. I'm like, I probably shouldn't say this, but I had friends at the show that knew my cousin, so I was like, well, fuck it. For the 6 of them, I'm doing this joke. Fuck the rest of the audience. And the joke, the story, the thing, I just texted him. I was like, yeah, I mean, your kid's adopted. Do you really need to have a babysitter for an adopted kid? Like, can't you just
Is the kid actually adopted?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So can't you just tether that kid to something? And the first night just got a huge laugh. Like, I don't know, I got into it slowly, and I was like, I shouldn't do this. I don't know if like I hedged it, or is hedge the right word? What's that called when you
we're playing password.
You set it up where you give them sufficient warning where you're like, I'm not going to do it. So whatever that word is, I'll remember it later. I'll text you.
Okay.
But yeah, I did it that way. And so then night 2, I do it. And then they were just like, they were like horrified. Everyone was horrified.
Because you were being timid, the way that you were like going to unveil this naughty thing you were going to do. And they were all like, oh, tell it. And then and then they were like, yeah.
And I guess another thing now thinking about it is that was a Saturday night crowd versus a Sunday night crowd. Sunday crowds are always more sensitive.
If you go into a mean joke the second time confident, then they're just like, oh, this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
First time, you were being like, well, I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it. But I shouldn't. Okay, you guys are cool. Yeah. And then they thought it was funny. Yeah. Second time, they were just like, wow, this guy's evil.
Yeah, exactly. But it was funny because I like snapped on him the second time. I was like, fuck you. Like, I mean, how many of you have adopted kids? Put your hands up if you have adopted kids. That's fucking what I thought. My cousin actually adopted a kid. He laughed at it. It's a fucking joke. Because like, he went up to you. You got a rescue dog at home. He went up to all of you and your dumb rescue dogs, And then,
don't worry about them. They're all adopted.
Well, then I was.
We used to tell my sister she was adopted, and she was older than us, so she knew that she wasn't.
Yeah.
But my sister and I,
you can be older
7 years younger, but she was there when she was like she was a part of the family well before I was.
Yeah.
And we'd always be like, ugh, Gabrielle's adopted. No, I'm not. I don't know. She's like, wait, no, I'm not. This kid's being horrible.
Yeah. They used to tell my mom that, and she was adopted.
Oh.
She had an asshole brother that would he told her, I don't know what.
So your mom was adopted too?
Yeah. She was, like, I don't know at what age, but her, her insensitive, shitty, ended up being.
Well, kids are
brother,
mean.
Just
kids are so cruel.
Yeah, turn the knife.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we've learned a lot today, Jason. We really have.
Is that it? We rapping?
No, I mean I'll talk for hours. Do you have any shows coming up this weekend?
This weekend, no, I don't think I have anything this week. I'm going to Atlantic City next week, though.
Oh, I think I saw something. You're going to be at the Howie Mandel Comedy Club. What's that called?
Is
it called the Howie Mandel Comedy Club?
It's called the Howie Mandel Comedy Club. It's at Hard Rock Hotel in Atlantic City.
What's it like doing comedy? I've seen some people tweet out things or Instagram things when they were on the road in Atlantic City doing comedy.
I've never done Atlantic
You've never
City
been?
comedy. No, I've done I did Foxwoods.
Yeah,
there was a casino there. I did Reno. There was it was a Sands, I think, in Reno. But I don't know. Comedy clubs usually comedy clubs in casinos are usually not great for a lot of the reasons we talked about. They get comped in.
Yeah.
They got the comps because they lost a ton of money. They're not happy. They're, and they're not from there, which is another thing. Like I prefer road comedy to New York or L.A. Or just because it's so
they appreciate it more because it's not like constantly available.
Well, it's constantly available, and they're like there's no like Boston or Tampa or Atlanta or Houston have a common sensibility. Like they're the city, and they have. But New York, we're from all over the world, so there's no there's no that's how we feel about that. Fuck those people. There's no there's a lot more like looking around the room, like, oh, is this okay? Is this Whereas other cities, you don't get that, or you get less of it. But I think it's increasing everywhere with this, this high school we've created, this social media high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people are. Yeah, I like a nice dark room in comedy so people can laugh in anonymity without being like. Oh,
I've definitely noticed that when the lights are not dim enough at a show, the audience is absolutely afraid to laugh. At jokes.
Yeah, they feel like they're going to get tagged in a photo laughing at something horrible.
Exactly. They're going to be exposed.
Yeah,
people like laughing in the dark.
Yeah,
it's definitely something I've learned putting on shows now. It's like if the lights are too bright, the audience will be spooked.
Yeah, especially like that's what corporate events people. If someone comes here with a work friend or a school friend, do
you do a lot of corporate events?
No, not anymore.
Oh, okay.
I've done a couple in the past, but I almost zero at this point.
Yeah,
it's been years and years, but one of I did one for Train, that TRANE, the
air conditioning.
Yeah,
people?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
but it was like, and this was maybe I don't even know 12, 13 years ago, but in our contract we got a bottle of Maker's Mark, so me and the other guy were just drinking on stage. We were pretty hammered, and it was like there were like two women. It was all male, it's everything that Me Too is against. Like they, like the guys were shitting on the women, but the women liked it. I don't know if there's lawsuits going now, but
probably
it was a very male dominated company. Yeah, it was. It seemed very like the scene from Wolf of Wall Street. Like,
yeah,
it was very similar to that.
Okay,
so
but that went well.
It ended up being all right. It wasn't great. Like I don't even know if we had a mic for that, but it was a completely.
Was it like a conference center?
It was in a hotel,
okay.
in a great hotel, like a classic old 1800s hotel, but in a conference room, and it completely lit up.
Yeah,
people had cafeteria style tables.
Yeah,
I think we had a podium. We were setting the Maker's Mark was on an angle on the podium, and
it makes for a different type of show.
Yeah.
So your show coming up, Jason has it's PS 109.
PS 109.
PS 109, and is there a website for PS 109?
It'll be on Eventbrite, but I linked it last time. There's a way to change the name of the Eventbrite to I think it's Eventbrite. I don't know if it's Eventbrite/PS 109. I think that's what I'll do. But it'll be linked on my website, Comedian Jason. If you go there on my live dates, it'll have.
And that'll be a huge show.
That'll be
November 11th.
That should sell out.
11/11.
11/11. Never forget.
Possibly part of the New York Comedy Festival.
Yeah,
but maybe not. We don't know.
If we're not,
we're going to find out. If not, you're just going to put on a show because who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's going to be a great show anyway. And I actually have some. If you're in the Atlantic City area, I'll be there. That Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then before you move on, we're doing upstate New York shows the next 2 days.
Okay.
But if you're in Atlantic City, if you want to DM me on any of these things or email me through the website, I've got some comps because it is a casino, so they throw.
Oh, do you gamble?
So.
Are you gonna gamble? You gotta.
Well,
gamble.
they have sports betting in Jersey now, so
okay.
I will. I'll gamble a little bit, but it's. I don't know how much I want to. Yeah, I like sports betting because you bet and then you can sit there for 3 hours and the teeters it goes both ways versus setting $20 in the blackjack table and it being gone 14 seconds later. So,
Do you do like the fantasy football betting?
No, I don't do the daily fantasy.
I'm terrible at it.
It's too rigorous and time consuming.
It's very emotionally driven too. I got too wrapped up in the fantasy football. I had to quit.
Yeah,
I was like too much obsessing over injuries.
Yeah,
everyone gets hurt.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what you draft at the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter because they're all gonna be gone. Yeah. And then you end up with like the fifth string something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I have friends that play, fantasy hockey and fantasy baseball and shit. And it's just
I don't
like
get
you
that
change
at all.
Your roster every day.
Way too many.
Yeah,
the baseball stuff. There's so many players.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What do you got coming up?
The next Guaranteed Delivery show is November 7th. It's going to have Carmen Lagala. Wendy Starling is going to be there. Brittany Brave, who's very funny, she's going to be there. And then like 4 other people, and then a couple of maybe possible drop-ins.
Yeah.
We'll see. But that'll be fun.
Yeah. I think that's my 18th anniversary in comedy. Is that it's a Wednesday, right?
It's a Wednesday.
That's my anniversary.
Wow.
My comedy anniversary.
Congratulations.
It's called Quit Comedy on my calendar. It's my repeating.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
There's always fun new things to do.
Yeah,
in comedy though.
Yeah, it's very
I mean, you also do like writing stuff.
Yeah.
You also have TV projects in the works. Like you do all the stuff.
Yeah. But living, I went to therapy for 6 months or something like that, and one of the therapist had never dealt with a comedian before, but she was like blown away. She was like, "Oh, I can see why you're unhappy because like your mood and all these things are dictated by strangers. Like if the strangers that you meet that night aren't laughing at the thoughts that you have, then you're miserable. And if they're good, so it's a weird,
That's how, I mean, that's why comedians become so, in my opinion, just viewing you guys, you have these great shows, and you hit it out, you knock it out of the park, and then you have to go and you have to do that exact successful thing again, like next time.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
an hour later,
and then if you don't do it, you're depressed.
Yeah.
And
someone could
so
see
it's all about how good were you at that last mic. It's not about, I did a really good one last month.
And someone sees you at a show and like it's not a great crowd, or you for whatever reason something's off, and it's usually the crowd.
Yeah.
But someone sees you and then they're like, "Oh, that guy's not funny." And that's the feeling that they have for the rest of their lives.
And that's it. That was your one chance with that one person.
Yeah, until you got to get some success somewhere else on a TV show, or you got to get someone to vouch for you. Be like, "Oh, this guy, no, he's funny." Like, "All right, I'll take another look."
Now that I made that random nobody in a blue shirt that one night think I'm funny because I was on The Tonight Show. Yeah. Like, oh, now he likes me.
Yeah.
Because of all the success.
Yeah, that was the thing that got me out of the therapy. I was just like, I had the revelation one day. I was like, I'm like a, and I said woman, but because I think it's more of a woman's thing.
You're sensitive.
No, it was just like I'm a girl who's, I'm a girl who's 10 pounds overweight, but I look at the magazine rack and I see all these airbrushed, perfect models and people that don't do anything except for work out and eat right, and I'm looking at them and I'm depressed. Like that's what it's this small instead of just being happy with who I am, and and that's the way people should be. So
and are you happier now?
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
you seem happy.
Yeah, I try to be. I drink a lot, so
so that helps.
But I'm a happy drunk. You get people to drink, and they're like, "Oh God, this guy shouldn't fucking drink." And hopefully I'm not that guy very often. But
that's good. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
This is fun.
This was fun. How much time do we do anyway?
About an hour.
Okay.
We lost most of the listeners in the first 5 minutes, but that's fun. That's pretty typical.
Do you track that?
We lose a good 25%, the same as people that show up to shows and stuff like that. No, I don't know. Follow Jason.
Depressing.
Follow Jason Kanter on Twitter at Dr. Jason Kanter.
Dr. Jason Kanter, and no one can spell my last name right. It's Kanter. So
right.
The easiest thing is just to go to Comedian Jason.
Go to comedianjason.com, and all of his comedy shows are listed there.
Twitter and
Twitter.
Used to have merch. Yeah, my CDs are gone. I got to re-record. Twitter's on there and Instagram. But follow me.
Pick up some merch. What's the merch? Is it just like
your CD? It's
your bald head on a shirt.
It used to.
That's what it should be.
Maybe I should do that. My buddy has a shirt that.
You look good bald, though.
Sunglasses. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was telling.
That's why it's like you're TV bald. There's like TV ugly people. They're actually still pretty good looking.
Yeah.
You're TV bald. I mean, you're a great looking bald guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was telling my girlfriend that, like, out of the white supremacists the other day, like, I seriously think I'm the only one who could play anything other than a skinhead. These guys got like these mongoloid shaped heads and shit. And, like they're not.
You have more range.
I would hope so. Yeah.
You could also be a high powered Wall Street executive, like.
Yeah.
Because you have the strong beard.
I don't know if they like. I've applied for those types of jobs, and they don't go.
You could be a
it.
douchebag screaming into a Bluetooth any day.
It's got to be something with like a little bit of anger. I think those are the only calls I get. Like I got to be like I got to be like a abusive or manipulative boyfriend, or a cop, or a criminal, or a criminal cop. You know.
Abusive boyfriend, criminal cop.
But seriously, like I had a meeting.
Crooked CEO.
I had a meeting with the casting director, and she's like, "Yeah, you have a hard." She's like, "That's what in the business, it's a hard look. A beard and that bald head is a hard look." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, I could shave my beard or something." And she's like, I showed her a picture. She goes, "Oh God, that's worse."
Put the beard back on.
That's my life.
Our sponsor today is Swill, a liquor store in your pocket. Go to getswill.com and use code FUNNY5 for $5 off your first order. You should use that.
I will do it.
It lets you price compare between liquor stores near you, and it has free delivery.
It's an app.
It's an app called Swill. The website is getswill.com.
Sounds great.
Yeah, great. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorist Magazine. Please follow us at Weekly Humorist. Go to weeklyhumorist.com, sign up for the e-newsletter, subscribe to the digital magazines, and check out the Guaranteed Delivery comedy shows. First Wednesdays of the month. The next one is November 7th. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next. Thanks for being on the show, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.